Okay. Well, I think our guys are excited to play a very competitive football game coming up this week against Indiana. I think Indiana's playing good football. Coach Allen's done a good job. Definitely have played tough on defense. That's always been a strength of theirs. Held Ohio State to probably one of their most unproductive days in a long time. So they're really playing really good right now on defense. Offensively, they found two quarterbacks that they like. They've got a dynamic playmaker in the backfield. So we're going to have our hands full. We've got to play good football, have a good week of practice, and get ourselves ready to go.
Jeff, unless something changes like in the next hour when Allen talks, they haven't announced a starting quarterback yet. What differences do you see between Sorsby and Jackson, and is it any more difficult to prepare for a team when you don't know which guy is going to be the quarterback?
Well, I think they've done a good job of getting both guys ready to play. Jackson, we recruited at Purdue, very talented quarterback, can throw and run. Their other quarterback is a good athlete as well. I think with the dynamic back they have in the backfield that's very fast and elusive, they've been able to mix in some option concepts as well as their normal, running and passing offense. So it makes you defend a lot of different elements. And, every year we've played IU in the past. It's been a very tight football game and goes down to the wire. So I just think it makes you prepare for a lot of different things that they can throw at you.
Kind of touched upon it there in that game against Ohio State. The D-backs looked really strong against one of the better wide receiving corps in the entire country. What stood out to you about that, and what are some of the challenges you guys are going to have with throwing the ball this week?
Well, Indiana's always done a really good job on defense, and they've had some really good years. They've played at a high level, put up good statistics. They'll come at you a lot of different ways and give you a lot of different looks and blitz from a lot of different areas. And I think when they're able to balance that with a productive offense, they can be dangerous. And I think so far they have shown they have talent on the offensive side of the ball as well. And so it's made them play some really good football to this point. So, our team needs to know that, we've got to play and execute at a high level in order to win.
Jeff, you said after the game last week that you wanted to see Jack throw with more conviction, but it doesn't seem to be like he's throwing it in the wrong places. How do you get a guy to make the right throws with more conviction?
Well, I thought Jack made improvement from week 1 to week 2. I thought he had a tremendous week of practice. We worked on a lot of small things that I think helped him. As you look back on this game, between a few coaching errors and things that we can get cleaned up and continuing to work on just throwing on time and driving the football and trusting what he sees, that's what we got to do. And I just think that we've shown the ability that we can run the football. We have good running backs. We have a couple of weapons that we like on offense and some others that are continuing to improve. He's got to be the leader and the general of it, and we need him to be efficient and to play with conviction and to play with confidence and trust what he sees and drive the football in there. So we'll work again specifically on a couple of things this week to make sure that we're continuing to improve there. But he's a great kid. He works really hard. He wants to do well. We just got to put as much pressure on him in practice to make all these throws on time, stand in there, keep his feet on balance and carry that over to the game.
Jeff, a little more on Indiana. Not being from Indiana, when you were at Purdue, how long did it take you to get into that rivalry? Do you still feel it? And then thirdly, would you like to continue to play them? There's been a lot of talk that they want to cancel the series.
Well, I think for our fans' sake, anytime you can play some in-state rivalries and some true rivalries regionally, it's always great to play. It's great for the fan base. They want to see it. They're going to come out and watch it and support it. Sometimes we have players that know each other as well. So I'm all for any type of regional rivalry we can continue to keep and even add to the mix. I think it's great for our fans and for our team. As far as being at Purdue and the rivalry, yes, you notice it right away. The fans are into it. It means something to them. I know it's the last game of the year, but people look forward to it, and they want their team to win. So I think that, us being right down the road, it's very similar. And I know we haven't played them a lot in the past, but they're a really good Big Ten football team that plays good football that, I know our fans will want to go up there and watch the game. I think, I have a lot of respect for Indiana and Coach Allen and their football team. You got to put the work in. You got to coach in order to win at a high level in the Big Ten at Indiana and Purdue. I understand that. Coach Allen loves the game. He has great passion for his players. And, we've got to go up there and win the football game. Nothing will be handed to us. It'll be a tough contest. They play great competition every year, so they're always battle tested. And when you get them at the beginning of the year, they're going to be fresh and have a lot of guys healthy, ready to go. So, when you watch the video and turn it on, they've played very well through 2 games. And, we're going to have to step up our level of play.
On defense, the safety position has been one we've talked about being short on guys since MJ and D'Angelo got hurt. What did you see out of those guys in the first 2 games? Any update on Minkins? And I guess Devin, he was one of the first transfers you've got. He really stepped up big the other night in the first half.
Well, yes, we have been hit there to a certain degree. I think Devin Neal plays extremely hard. He can tackle. He's played a lot of football in the past, and he'll give us everything he's got. I think Cam Kelly did some really good things. There was a couple of times we'd like for him to trigger faster on certain calls we have, so we got to continue to work through that. He had a great week of practice last week. Anytime you learn a new system, it takes a little bit of a while to get going, and he didn't get here till after the spring. So we just got to continue to speed up that process. When it comes to Josh, we're continuing to try to progress him. Whether he's ready for the game or not is still too early to tell.
Jeff, just kind of looking back, I think you only lost 1 time against Indiana while you were at Purdue. I guess, what would you say has been the cause of that success, or how were you able to win those games, and what do you kind of, see in terms of translating that over here to Louisville?
Well, that's a rivalry game, and it was always the last game of the year, so you got to try to get to that game as healthy as you can. You got to hope that there's something riding on that game, even more so than the rivalry, but a bowl game, which was the case multiple times, and what type of bowl game was the case a few times as well. So, and then last year in the Big Ten championship game was riding on whether we won that game. So I just think that you prepare that way. We're used to that game meaning a lot, and this year that game's going to mean a lot. This is a great non-conference opponent for us that plays good football, and it's up in their neck of the woods, and so it's an away game for us, which is always tough when you go on the road. We didn't play as good as I would like the last time we went on the road, so we need to improve in that area. So it'll be a competitive football game that our guys need to understand that we better be preparing hard and well this week, otherwise it'll be a long Saturday for us.
When you look at just the conference so far this season, you've had, Miami and A&M, LSU and Florida State, just the success of the ACC so far. How important is this weekend in kind of keeping that trend along and keeping the ACC kind of in that national conversation?
Well, I think everyone can see that there are a lot of really good ACC football teams. Certain teams have really stood out and playing at a high level through 2 weeks. Of course, you always want to represent your conference as well as you can, and when you play a Big Ten opponent, it's important to try to win the game. So we will prepare that way, and I think our guys understand that there's a lot of work to be done and a lot of preparation to be done, and if they want to win, we're going to have to play good for 4 quarters and not just for 2.
If an update on Maurice Turner, how's he feeling, as well as Kewan Brown? Did he show you some things that might put him a little bit more into the rotation as well in the backfield?
Well, Maurice probably could have played if we wanted. We wanted to get him a little more healthy with his injury, so I do think he should be ready to go this week, which is important to be able to utilize him. Kiwan is a young running back that really has shown us those same things in camp that you saw in the game. He'll run physical, he'll run downhill, he'll run hard. And I just think that, he gives us depth. We'll see about how much he plays in the future, but he'll be ready to go. And, to this point, I've liked our running back room, and we got to continue to make sure that they get the ball.
I've kind of piggybacking off of that a little bit. Because of Maurice not playing, Isaac got more opportunities. He seemed like he runs with bad intentions. How much do you, with a home run hitter like Jawar and then a couple of those other guys, does that give you options as a play caller?
Well, it for sure does. I mean, really, it's nothing more as a play caller and who are our best playmakers, and let's make sure they get their touches. And if that's running backs, tight ends, receivers, they got to get their touches. And if we're any good coaches at all, that's the simplistic way of doing it. It's just making sure the ball hits their hands. So I think Jawar has definitely displayed playmaking ability. Isaac runs hard. He has good hands. He'll lower his pads and try to run people over. And then, Maurice is a good player as well. Kind of has a little bit of both those skills. And, so getting them in the game is critical, and making sure that you're aware who's in there, what they do well. And like I said, when the game's over, their hands need to be on the ball so many times. Otherwise, we've not done a good job as a coach.
Jeff, when you're playing a school and a coach that you've played a number of times before, how much do you rely on past tendencies versus what you see on film for this year?
Well, we have a lot of video of us actually playing against Indiana and what they like to do. Some of the things are similar. Some of the things they've adapted and changed. Like I said, I think at this point, they're playing good football. They've always been really good on defense, and they've shown that by how they held Ohio State to one of its lowest point totals in a long time. And now they have legitimate weapons on offense, and both quarterbacks have the ability to play, which makes that dangerous. And, a couple productive receivers that we even recruited at Purdue that are doing a good job, and then a dynamic back in the backfield that's always tough when you got somebody that quick and fast. And we'll have to make sure we contain him and get him to the ground, because he's definitely proven that he has playmaking skills on offense and special teams.
Yeah, Jeff, after 2 games, are there any things about your team that has surprised you in a good way, and are there any things in particular you've been concerned about?
Well, we tried to correct things from week 1, which I think we made some progress there. Obviously, now the competition heats up, and we'll see exactly what we're made of. So, defensively, getting lined up and getting set, letting our guys letting them play. Sounds simple, but we got to make sure we get that done. Finding ways to get after the quarterback and pressure the quarterback more is important, that we find ways to get that done. Creating some turnovers, I think will be critical, is making sure we figure that out. Offensively, I think it's just, trying to be as efficient as we can, eliminate some silly penalties that we had. When we have the opportunity for big plays, we got to hit them. So I think we need to continue to work through that, because as we, play the teams coming up on our schedule, you have to hit those plays when they're there. So I just think working through that, we've been pretty steady on special teams, at least gaining a slight edge each week. So if we could create a couple of huge plays there, it would be beneficial. But if not, at least being consistent and gaining a slight edge will be vital to success. So I just think all 3 components matter. We continue to look in the mirror and try to fix some problems we've had as coaches the first couple of weeks, and put the best plan together to get ready for this game.
Jeff, you mentioned how critical it is to get the running, to get the running backs involved. Through the first 2 games, you've actually ran the ball a lot more than you guys have passed it so far. Is that something you expected heading into this season, granted how much your offensive scheme relies on passing the ball?
Well, I've learned over the years, in order to win at a high level, you need to be able to do both. Now, some games will dictate what you have to do more of and what you don't have to use more of, but you have to at some point be able to do both. You'll have games where whatever happens, you're you're not winning and you're behind, and you're going to have to throw the ball. So you have to be able to throw the ball at some point. You can't just always play from in front, even though that's a great advantage if you can, but you have to be able to throw the ball. At the same time, you have to be able to run the ball. There are numerous ways people can play coverage, drop guys, extra guys in coverage, and force you to run the ball. You have to be able to run the ball. There are certain times in third and short, goal line, when you have a lead, you have to be able to run the ball. So I just think you have to be able to do both, that's what the great teams can do. So, who are our playmakers will dictate whether we throw it more or run it more. And then, of course, for example, in the second half with Georgia Tech, we wanted to come out and run the ball more. We were not as efficient passing the ball, and wanted to kind of, rely on that to kind of get us back in rhythm, and I think that helped us. So I just think you have to work on both and be good at both if you want to win at a high level.
What's it, I guess, going to be like playing in 2 neutral locations in NFL stadiums in the first 3 weeks, and being at Lucas Oil, having it kind of close to Louisville and more easier for fans to get there?
Well, I think it's a great venue. I've been fortunate to play in there. I think our fans would love it. It's comfortable. It's convenient. There's not a bad seat in there. So I think that's always great to do. I think our players who haven't been in there will enjoy playing in such a great dome. I mean, the national championship game was played there a couple of years ago. The Big Ten championship game, actually, I've been to both. It had an even bigger crowd. So, they can pack it in there. And, of course, the Colts play there every home game as well. So it's an easy drive. It's early in the season. There's a lot riding on this game. It's important that, we try to find a way to win, and they can carry over and continue momentum. But we'll definitely have to play really good football. And if you take 1 ounce of anything for granted in this game, you will get beat. So our players need to understand that this week, because sometimes when you win a game by that score, you start to relax just this much, or you start to listen to somebody pat you on the back, and when you do that, the other team's getting ahead, and it's going to cost you in the game. So we got to be very cautious that we work extremely hard this week.
Jeff, a big picture kind of thing, when you look at a season, and obviously injuries happen, do you have an idea of the guys you're going to redshirt, or is that something that you change as you go along? Some coaches know, some coaches kind of let it play out. How do you and your staff do that with some of the young guys?
Well, we always want to prepare to win and win now, and the next game is always the only game we're concerned about. With that said, as we prepare and get our freshmen ready to play, we will always get them ready to play. Now, we're not going to throw them in there for 1 play or 2 just to waste plays, but you know what? We're going to get them ready to play. So if they can help us win or help us on special teams, we will utilize that. I think now with the 4-game limit, yes, we're conscious of who's going in and who's not, and making sure when they do go in, is it going to be meaningful snaps or is it just 1 or 2 snaps? So we try to do the best job we can to protect someone's red shirt, but at the same time, the priority is winning the football game, and can they help us win? So that takes some thought and takes some mapping out. In the past, we've done a pretty decent job of doing that correctly, even though mistakes have been made, and you try to get to the last half of the season with some guys that do have 4 games left, and maybe they're farther along, and maybe now you can get them in the mix at least a little bit. But in the meantime, if guys are ready to play, we will put them in the game right now. Okay, thank you.